community members, I want to emphasize that there really is no distinction between the community members and the demonstrators. We are the community. I am the community, and you are the community. So thank you. We opposed the war before it started. We opposed the war when it started. And we've been opposing the war ever since. I want to point out that democracy is fragile, not because of insurgents or terrorists, but because it depends on the resolve of the people. And it's too easy for that resolve to waver, to be taken for granted, or misdirected, or reduced to mere symbols, slogans, and rhetoric. We do have symbols, slogans, and rhetoric, but we back that up with action. Last Tuesday, we saw hundreds of concerned residents chasing striker vehicles through the streets of downtown Olympia. We didn't bring the war home, they brought it home to us. We didn't consent to the war, they unleashed it upon us. And more importantly, they unleashed it upon the people of Iraq. They tell us to be civil. We're here to tell them there is no civility in using our backyard for their war operations. There is no civility in forcing us to watch in silence or in symbolism the convoys of military equipment moving to and from the battlefield, supporting the war and enabling the occupation. When our inaction equals consent to war and occupation, there is no civility. Civility is a pretense that hides the mass murder and destruction that our nation has unleashed in the Middle East and elsewhere. As long as we go about our daily lives, and as long as our lives remain uninterrupted by the stories of the lives that we violently disrupt, then the only thing that civility is good for is enabling war and occupation to continue. We understand that the road that leads to Iraq goes through Olympia. The fact that this road goes through Olympia is a warning to us, and it reminds us that we are complicit, but it also empowers us to do something about it. Let's tell the Port of Olympia, let's tell the City Council, let's tell the OPD, Fort Lewis, Congress, and the White House, and let's tell the world that Olympia is no revolving door for war, and we're going to make sure of that.
The problems facing us, facing our communities, facing the world are immense. We have a planet that is on fire. We have a failure of leadership. Elected leadership, not amongst us, but our elected leaders have again and again failed us. We have conflict among nations and we have conflict among ourselves. But what a beacon of hope this 11 days of non-violent port militarization resistance by each of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was definitely 11 days of democracy in action, 11 days of unity in opposition to the use of our port as a revolving door of military machinery furthering this illegal and immoral war. Speaking as an Indigenous woman, whose peoples were also have also been attacked, have been oppressed, have been repressed, and have been subject to relocation, have been subject to forced sterilization, and robbed of our culture and our languages. I stand as an Indigenous woman, as a woman of a sovereign nation. I stand against the use of this port. Of a sovereign people who did nothing to us, who did nothing to our country, and who pose no threat to us. We have exhausted our options. We have asked our elected leaders to end our illegal occupation of Iraq, and they have failed us miserably. So therefore, it is my moral and humane duty to take to the streets in resistance as it was yours, and you did it. Thank you. Thank you. Teresa once said about the struggle for peace and humanity, the road is long and full of danger. The road was long and full of danger during 11 days of resistance here, and you made me proud. During the course of 11 days at the Port of Olympia at these gates, I was lifted up as I stood side by side with these young people with great courage and great heart. Our young people who are our next generation of leaders, and you who showed such strength and determination and such sense of conscience. You showed you have a moral obligation and you showed duty. You lifted me up beyond measure. And you young women, I was awed by you. You know, Mother Teresa also said that everything we do is just a drop in the ocean. But if we don't do it, that drop will be missing forever. What you did, what we did here this week was a drop that will not be missing. Keep it up, keep it up. I'm honored to stand with you, and I raise my hands to each and every one of you.
We've been raised in a society that's controlled by fear. The government tells us to fear, the media tells us to fear, the fearful tell us to be fearful with them.
That's right!
And I have lost my ability to feel any more fear. To stand up and say, I will not be fearful, is an ordinary thing that anyone can do. And to say that I will not be complicit in an immoral, racist, illegal war is just as easy as saying nothing.
What I have seen in the shipments of this military equipment is the physical representation of the destruction of human life. Not just in Iraq, Iran, or Palestine, but we're seeing the destruction here in Olympia. It's affecting us, not only having to watch machines going up 4th Avenue that are designed to take the lives and the power of people, but physically our port now has the after effects of depleted uranium.
However unfortunate it may be, soldiers and police are the extensions of the patriarchal state. The U.S. government has brought this devastation to Iraq, and the direct result is a continuation of hierarchies such as racism and sexism. In PMR's attempt to halt the militarization that is the cause of this destruction, our community has been forced to confront power relations, and gender relations are about power. The police assaulted us because they were threatened by the power that each and every one of us held.